Hello, this is a brief overview of self-compassion, which is a state of mind that facilitates self-care. We'll look at the components of self-compassion and what each of them mean, and explore how we might apply them in our own lives and professional work. Self-compassion is a state of positive self-regard. As clinicians, we are asked to have positive regard for those we are working with. And so practicing positive self-regard is an excellent approach to role modeling that those we work with can use to inspire using similar techniques in the ways that they relate to themselves and others. Self-compassion includes realistic expectations, nurturing self-talk, rerouting ants of judgment, ants standing for automatic negative thoughts, ensuring positive emotional engagement, and an active awareness of vitality. When we look at our expectations, we want to make sure they're realistic. So the first step is monitoring your self-expectations. What are you expecting of yourself? Are you expecting too much? Are those expectations reasonable and compassionate? For instance, are you expecting to be able to accomplish more in one day than you should? Are you incorporating sleep, personal time, replenishing your battery, entertainment, rest, relaxation, all of those things into your expectations for your daily routine? And when it comes to our sense of responsibility, it's very important for us to evaluate if our understanding of what we are responsible for is reasonable and compassionate. If in looking at our expectations we see anything that needs to be revised, are we doing that? Or are we saying, this is the way I am, and I'm just going to keep doing it? Are our expectations flexible? Do we recognize that we should have different expectations when we're sick or when we're overwhelmed? Are we allowing ourselves to shift our expectations for the situation? If not, we should. And are our expectations positively contributing to self-talk and our thoughts? There's a cyclical relationship. If we have unrealistic expectations, they can lead to negative self-talk, which can also contribute to negative thoughts, and so on and so forth. So we want to look at this cycle to be aware that we are handling the realistic expectations element well. And are your expectations aiding in your positive self-regard? Are you recognizing when you do good things and when you meet those expectations? Because sometimes we're good at chastising ourselves when we don't meet an expectation, but do we celebrate when we do? We should. Which aids in our positive self-regard. Having realistic, compassionate, and flexible expectations can lead to healthy, positive self-regard. And are expectations helping us maintain healthy vitality, or are they unnecessarily draining us? This brings us to nurturing self-talk. Does your inner voice have a nurturing personality, or does it have a tendency to say things like, well, that wasn't very smart. Why'd you do that? Do you realize how much you haven't gotten done today? If our inner voice is not nurturing, how do we cultivate that? Well, let's return to the cyclical relationship of self-talk, ants, self-expectations, and self-care. Any stage of this process, we want to ask the question, are we being positive? Are we using positive self-regard? And if the answer is not yet, then it's time to get to work. And when it comes to self-talk, consider the practice of revoicing. A lot of times we internalize the narratives of those who raised us. And sometimes our inner voice is actually an echo of things they have said to us. So we want to look at the things that pop into our heads as self-talk. If it is someone else's voice speaking to you, then you might want to ask them to step aside, because now is your time to shine, and revoice those ideas into ideas you actually embrace. So if someone always told you, mothers should not leave their children, to, my kids are going to enjoy their time with so-and-so doing such and such while I go out to a matinee and enjoy myself. You can also revoice your own self-talk, ideas and sayings and responses that we have internalized because of our own self-expectations. So if you expect yourself to get everything done before you go to bed, then perhaps you might want to revoice that to say, I have accomplished a lot today, but my rest is also important. So I'm going to leave things undone because they'll still be there tomorrow for me to take care of. Also, embrace affirmations. Embrace complimenting yourself. Hey man, you did a great job dealing with that delay on your way to work. Here's why. You did a great job in working with that client today. Here's why. Remember, evidence is so convincing, even when you're talking to yourself. Give examples of how you did things well. Rerouting ants of judgment. I remember cartoon images of ants marching to a picnic. The idea of this is kind of like rerouting the ants from eating your food to eating food that is meant for them. When it comes to automatic negative thinking, the idea is rerouting those negative thoughts to positive thoughts. The first step of doing that is being aware of when you use them. What automatic negative thoughts are coming up? Take a day or two to monitor when you have automatic negative thoughts and what they are. So if you notice, for instance, in a 24-hour period that you have 25 or more, then seek to reduce them to half that until you have even fewer. And also looking at the role of automatic negative thoughts in the cycle of self-regard. How are your negative thoughts leading to negative talk? And are your negative thoughts in response to unrealistic expectations? So once you've identified these negative thoughts, one of the other things you can work on is flipping them, turning your ants into butterflies. So the question becomes, how can you use that negative thought and turn it around to become a positive thought? So your negative thought may be, man, I really could have done a better job in collaborating with that client today. And if that's the negative thought, I need to be more collaborative is your negative thought. You couldn't then say, tomorrow is a new opportunity to be more collaborative. This next session will be an opportunity to be more collaborative, which are examples of practicing positive self-regard. Emotional engagement. The truth is, counseling and therapy and case management and help being in service to others, all of these things require emotional disengagement. We need to be able to take our own emotional response and set it aside so that we can focus on the person in service. Well, it's very important to leave room to re-engage with those emotions. Sometimes in this process, we forget to revisit the emotions we have set aside during the day. But it's important to do that because whether we engage with them or not, they're still there. And by engaging with them, taking time to do that in our day allows us to process those emotions positively. So it's an example of practicing positive self-regard, and it allows us to have room to process those emotions and monitor our emotional regulation so that we can work through our feelings about these issues in a positive way so that they are not a subconscious drain on our vitality or our positive self-regard or our positive regard for our clients and those we work with. Active awareness of vitality. It is extremely important for us to be aware of what builds our energy, what makes us feel vital and alive. So knowing what restores us also means we need to know what drains us. And when there is a drain on that vitality, how are we responding to it? Are we being overly negative? Are we being realistic? Are we being compassionate? These are all examples of monitoring our judgment. When we look at the things that drain us, are there certain things that are draining us that we're doing that we shouldn't be doing? For instance, vegging in front of the TV can be really good just to allow ourselves to relax and release. But are we using that as a diversion tactic from good emotional work or physical work that we could be doing? So when we look at the drains, are there drains we can get rid of? Are there things that we're doing that we don't have to do? Taking on things that someone else could be doing, such as cleaning up after our kids rather than having our kids clean up after themselves. Unfortunately, that system doesn't quite work with our pets, though, does it? But you know what I mean. And also, it's important to nurture what restores our vitality. In other words, give yourselves time to do it. Doing that is as important, now, more important than getting the housework done. It's okay to leave the dishes if we take the time to nurture our vitality. Also, protect what restores our vitality. Take the time out for yourself when you need it in a realistic and supportive and self-compassionate way. Because remember, the better we are at taking care of ourselves, the better we are at helping collaborate with others to learn how to do the same thing. I hope this overview of self-compassion has been helpful to you. If you need more information about it and want to continue your exploration of self-compassion, please do let me know. But be well and take care.